Welcome to the Daily Shift. You heard that right. The Daily Shift. The show where we block out the noise and speak truth, train your mind, and help you become the absolute best version of yourself. Leo and Andrew are on their way. You're in the right place. And while you're here, take a breath. We're about to dive in. The show starts in 30 seconds. You ready? Take a deep breath in and breathe it out. Prepare for your shift.
I just dropped a whole lot of watermelon juice on the floor. But welcome in, everybody. We're going to be talking about the 5 traits that make a person magnetic. And we have an event that's happening in a couple of days. Right on. And, I feel like something always happens right before we begin. This one's going to be a little quick, but I want to make sure to run through these 5 because it's helped me and Andrew so much. We're going to be on stage with 150 of you guys. And a big piece of that is the magnetism, is the ability to connect with the whole room, connect with people one-on-one, and really make everyone feel seen, make them feel heard, and allow us or have them allow us to change their lives in many different ways. And I want the same abilities for you. And this is going to help you do more sales. This is going to help you connect with people at a deeper level. This is going to make you create content with more ease and build much stronger relationships. So we have 5 right in front of us. I'm going to start cleaning this little mess up real quick. But number 1 is inner certainty, which Andrew can speak very well on.
So I think, by the way, I think it's a very cool thing when we can step into a opportunity or a season of discomfort. And I want to share this because we talk about inner certainty. To me, that's where this comes from, because I used to get so nervous about things. We have a big event coming up next week. Going to see many of people who listen and watch us on here there, and I'm excited for that. Excited to see you guys there. But when it comes to being confident, being certain, and knowing, it's a opportunity to be able to go from insecurity and lack of confidence to absolute clarity. Clarity brings certainty. Type it in the chat. If you're taking notes, write it down. Clarity brings certainty. And when you can have a confidence, and for me, my confidence is knowing in who I believe. It's knowing in where my alignment lies and being able to be confident in that.
So inner certainty has to do with your ability to know your values really well. If you know that you're a good person, if you know that you genuinely want to see the best for others, inner certainty is knowing that and being able to walk with that type of confidence, being able to walk with the force field around you where if anybody was to think differently or say differently, you at least are able to know genuinely who you are. That's something that I've struggled with in different areas of my life where if someone misunderstood me, it would bother me quite a bit. But there are a list of things, a list of values that I know for sure about myself that have given me such an ease in the way that I talk to people.
Yeah.
An ease in when I show up on stage, I'll just remind myself of who I am. And it serves as this, as I call it, a force field. It's this bubble around you that can't really be breached. And I want to talk about that a little bit more because there's certain places where I'm trying to learn how to a new value, like how to install that into your being. You get what I'm saying?
I think so. Explain the new value and what you mean by install.
I think as we grow more and more, for example, being a God-led, a God-driven man, right? That is a value that's always been there, but it's newer. You know what I mean? So I'm learning how to install that so everyone here who's listening now and listening later can learn, okay, I may be growing substantially right now in different ways, but how do I install that type of confidence in there and install that certainty?
I think that for all of us, if we're not growing, we're dying. And so it comes back, we talked yesterday about being real, about being authentic. And it comes back to knowing, as you say, Leo, who you are and whose you are. And that as humans, the human experience is to always be improving. And when we share things from experience, no one's going to ever take that away from us. When we can share our values from what we know to be true, from what we've experienced, from what we have been rooted or grounded in, then, there's a Bible verse that says, and you'll be like a tree that's planted by rivers of water. And you bring forth your fruit in your season, your leaf don't wither, and whatever you do will prosper. And I think of that verse because that's what being rooted and grounded means to me. And there's a Bible verse that says that Jesus, basically Christ in you, makes you perfect. It's like, well, I thought nobody was perfect. And then you read that verse about being like a tree planted by the water. I remember growing up, we decided to plant some little apple trees. And those little apple trees, in the first year, they were perfect, but they were little. It was like this tall. It was little apple trees. And we watered them, we fed them, we cared for them, and fertilized them, done all the things that we were supposed to do. And remember, year by year, the fruit started to come. And it started to increase. And before long, they didn't need as much care. And I think in our walk, as we grow, as we install that new value, it becomes who we are. And while you in God can be perfect 2024 Leo, and in God can be perfect 2025 Leo, meaning you're in alignment with who you are called and meant to be. But if you stayed here in 2026, you wouldn't be where you were supposed to be because we're supposed to have been grown by then. And I think that is the beauty of the journey. And as we install those new beliefs, every year is new light God shows on our path. It doesn't mean a change of direction. It means more of the good direction He's set us on.
Absolutely. Okay. That makes sense. These type of things, I think the season that I'm going through is such a change, such a growth in this past month, because these things, as I'm teaching it, a note will come up of like, but there's a new level to it.
Yeah.
Right. I used to teach it in a very surface level way, but there's so much more depth now that's I'm learning in the moment.
Where
so
does
this
that come from?
It comes from moments where knowing that I was so certain of who I was in 2024, but now in 2025, there's newer versions of me. There's parts of me that are growing that I'm building the certainty for. Like this right here, as I'm speaking it out loud, talking about it, it's building that certainty. So much to the point where next time we teach this topic about inner certainty, my examples are going to come off just like that.
Yeah.
Right now, I have to pause myself, right? And we say that because sometimes we'll make the show topic 5 minutes before, and it challenges us to think of the stories, think of our life, think of our experience. And I think it's a beautiful thing that is happening.
I think as people who are always growing, you're entrepreneurs, you're wanting to do more good things. You know, we attract people who are like us, who like to impact people for good and for God. And when that happens, God says, basically, I'm not going to show more light to you until you walk in the light you know. We have our mastermind. And the first question I often ask when somebody calls and asks for advice, if it's the second or third time, is, did you do the last thing I told you?
Right.
Well, no, not yet. Then I'm going to tell you the same darn thing, right? Because why are we going to worry about, when I was 21 and broke, I wasn't worried how to close the $100 million deal. I wasn't there yet. I was worried about how to get to 10K next month. I was worried about first how to get to 2K next month. And so understanding that there's a different level, and it doesn't mean we have to go any traditional route at all. Things can happen so much faster than you think. But as we grow with God, as we walk with God, as we study the Bible, as we grow in the men that we're becoming and the men we are, I think there is constantly additional light revealed on the path God has set for us. And I think if he showed us the next 27 years, every good and bad thing, we probably wouldn't be ready to handle it right now, right? So he gives us the amount of vision that we are positioned to handle so that we can begin to take the actions to bring it to pass. We know there's going to be challenges we don't yet know about, and we know there's going to be huge wins that we don't yet know about.
100%. So this leads us to number 2, which is emotional intelligence. This is something that I've learned over the years, being someone who was very emotionally weak when I was younger, having now been able to understand myself so much more. The self-awareness of like, why am I angry right now? Why am I sad right now? Why do I have all these different thoughts going on in my head right now? And do I choose to be that anger, or do I choose to view the anger for what it is and then calm myself down? And I think just that conversation, just that talk with yourself is a piece of emotional intelligence. So I want to talk about this a little bit of how we define our own emotional intelligence, how we've done it for ourselves, and kind of breaking it down, and also your wisdom take if you have any biblical sense of it as well.
Well, James said a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. And I think that as people who is, you help me a lot with emotional intelligence and understanding how to feel something, but you don't have to act on what you feel. And I think that's such when you're in control, it's such a beautiful thing. But emotional intelligence from a godly perspective is not being thrown around as if you're in a storm, right? And the waves are rocking the boat. There's a Bible verse that talks about writing to the church in the Bible. I don't remember which book it was. And Paul, I believe, says, you're cast about by every new wind of doctrine. Every little while, somebody comes up with a new doctrine and it throws off the whole everybody off track. Mm-hmm. And so in doing that, I think that is where we sometimes become unstable in our actions because we start this or we go here, we take this action, or somebody ruins our day by cutting us off, or things didn't go quite right, or the watermelon juice spilled. Some little things come up and we can either choose to proceed on we can choose to be grateful, or we can, like I used to, would react, crap, I should have not got up today, right? And so to let it take charge of us, to take control of us, is not the healthy or godly way. And as he talks about us becoming like men, standing strong, putting on the whole armor of God, he said that you might be able to withstand the fiery darts and the wiles, W-I-L-E-S, the fiery darts of Satan. Because the enemy, every day, whether it's in the little things or the big things, is going to give us plenty of opportunities to get off track, to get distracted, whether it's just to quit praising God, or whether it's to become overwhelmed, or whether it's just to get us stagnated whenever we was meant to be smiling and shining and helping somebody, but instead we're sitting on the couch at our house feeling sorry for ourselves. But any way that he can, he's going to come in and slow down your impact, because he can't stop your impact unless you allow it. And so I think emotional intelligence is really every single day getting up, taking charge of the day, and remembering the king's kid you are and acting like one.
Very good. All right, number 3 is purpose-driven presence. Now, we can just say that this is just presence itself, and I think one of the greatest traits in the greatest leaders that we know is that they are able to be so present with the person. Even if they have 1,000 things to do, they're able to not shut it down, but simply be with the individual and make them feel like the only person in the world.
Yeah.
And I think it's a very hard thing to do nowadays, because you have your phone with 1,000 different notifications on it, and you have so many things to think about, especially as leaders and people who hold so much weight. But to be able to say, okay, I'm talking with Andrew, I'm talking with Les, I'm talking with person right now. You're the only person in the world. How can I make you feel that way every single day? And it just builds that relationship so much, and it makes the person want to come back. It makes the people in the audience want to come back.
Probably every one of us have been on the either on the receiving or giving end of being in a conversation and suddenly finding yourself on the phone. You ever try to talk to somebody and they're on their phone, they're texting, and you're going, I wonder if they're listening. Right. They are becoming distracted and looking elsewhere, and you just feel like you might as well shut up, right? Because they're gone. And I think to be purposeful in our presence, and something that I say, and I'm working on getting better at this every single day, because I today have a double booking. So I have to figure out how to make sure both bookings get covered. I'm supposed to be on 2 Zoom calls at once, one with the team and one with a project. And so in days like that, those things come up and they happen. And something I teach people, sometimes we teach what we most need to learn, and I've told some of our mastermind members, I said, if you don't have time to be on the meeting, then reschedule the meeting or don't take the meeting, right? If you don't have time to be in the conversation, then end the conversation. And I say it in that way because I think if that was required, if I'm not fully present in this conversation, I have to leave. Like if that was a rule for 7 days, if I'm not fully engaged in this Zoom meeting right now, I have to hit end. And if that was a rule for 7 days, we would realize how often we are not being purposeful with where we show up and how we show up.
Yep.
And when we show up fully, we can make such an impact. In fact, some meetings on the business side, you can handle an hour business meeting in 15 minutes if you're just fully present. Instead of being on the way to the meeting thinking about the things you got to do at home, and in the meeting thinking about the things you should have done while you drive there, and leaving the meeting thinking about the things you should have said in the meeting. And you can live your entire life not being present anywhere, halfway showing up for everybody. And when you can just be very purposeful how, when, and where you show up and be fully present, it's a gift. And that's something that you are often very good at. You cause people to feel very heard and are fully present.
And I think it comes down to the discipline before the conversation. You know, I think about today, the disciplines were not as strong as they should be. And the accountability from my end is that it's event week. and there should be a lot more healthy eating and rest and workouts happening, and it will. Tomorrow we'll be in the, or today we're going to the gym, but tomorrow we'll be in the gym, eating healthy, doing the right things. But for example, I slammed a massive burrito this morning, knowing that I have content to make and a live show to make and meetings to do. But that burrito was just like hash browns in there, sauce in there. And I basically ate the whole, I had a burrito last night too. Okay. This is just accountability. And I knew that on this show, I would be so tired. And I told Andrew, I'm probably going to be tired, but this burrito. So I didn't have the discipline in the moment to be like, hey, let's get a salad or let's get something, let's get a nicer breakfast. And I say that to say, of course, number one, we are not perfect at all. And we
agreed not to tell him that part.
I know. It's just, yeah, sometimes we got to let them know. But if I'm being the most disciplined version of myself, then I'm knowing, hey, let's not eat the burrito. Let's eat healthy. Let's go to the gym, because on this live show, I'll be as present as possible, right? So it does come down to the decisions you make prior. So that's my accountability of today.
It's good accountability.
No more burritos.
You want to get to number 4?
I do want to get to number 4. So number 4 is bold honesty. And this is something in our business that has allowed it to grow so big, is because we are very honest with our students. And we tell them exactly what it is. We had a men's call today, and we were very upfront with them of things that we thought they weren't doing so well. And with us, we're very honest with things that we don't do so well. And to me and Andrew, I'll tell them exactly what it is. I screwed up here, and because sometimes I like to keep myself accountable versus someone else keeping me accountable, I say, I know I screwed up here, and I don't want to hear anything, but here's what I'm going to do next to make sure that doesn't happen again. So I see the accountability, hold myself accountable, tell them, but I'm very, very honest with it. But same thing with you. If you screw up in a certain place, I'll tell you exactly what happened.
For sure.
Right. Same thing with the people in our lives.
And I want to point something out, Leo, that, years ago, I didn't understand brutal accountability or bold honesty. And so it would go in such a way that I would not say anything unless or until I got frustrated, and then anything I said was from frustration. And I share this because probably some of you guys can relate to this, and you will let things go in such a way that it becomes a frustrated point, and then it's like it's past the point of no return. And what I realize is there's no greater gift than you can give to someone than bold honesty. I have told people who I have, in fact, I'll commonly ask people, do I have permission to coach you? And then I will be totally transparent. I've seen people who are in business who were killing deals because they would not shut up. I said, can I coach you? Yes. You asked these 3 questions? That was great. The next 7 minutes of talking nonstop and not letting your client answer was totally unnecessary. Shut up. And so that moment of bold honesty has caused them and allowed them to. Some of them are now some of our top level community members, where Kurt Dixon was one of those. He wouldn't mind me saying that. Incredible guy. He sent me a 38-minute recording. He goes, will you listen to this business call? I said, no, I'm not going to listen to a 38-minute conversation. Send me an 8-minute conversation. I'll listen to it. And so I share that because, again, when it comes down to you deciding to be bold in your honesty to the people you're around, that is another way to attract the real people and to be a real person. Because then people don't have to ask what you think. Yes, there's tact. Yes, there is wisdom. You're not just going to say everything you think all the time. But bold honesty has been a huge game changer for me. And thank you for being that in my life and that accountability.
So one thing in your example that probably stuck out was, like, for example, saying shut up.
Yeah.
It's not something you'll actually say unless it's to the point and it's someone that can take it, right? And
That's why I asked if I can coach you first.
and you frame it, right? Because even with Andrew, he'll say like, shut up, but he'll smile. But that's how you soften it a little bit. And it's still bold because it still gets the message across. It's still courageous communication. However, there's so many ways to frame things. And I think frame is an important thing. Type that in the chat, frame, because I want you guys to be experts at frame.
Yeah, because that is power. Because if I just walked up to somebody and was like, you talk too much, that'd just be rude.
Yes.
But if you have the frame set, and this is the game changer also, because some things that if you just heard or read that somebody said something, like you'd be, oh my gosh, that was kind of crazy.
Right.
But if you heard the way they framed it, or you seen them smile, or you knew it come from a heart of love, of brotherly love, or of a client relationship, or somebody you care about deeply, you know it's the thing that you sometimes say to me that can be perceived as harsh is well received because I know it comes from like, love you, bro, want to see you grow.
Yes, and that comes from frame. Learn how to frame it. You can tell someone that they're not good at their job, or you can say, hey, a mentor told me this one time that really helped me get better at this situation, get better at communication. Or, hey, I noticed you said this and it pissed off the tax guy. And I say, hey, one thing that I learned that has really helped me, I noticed that he was a little bit upset, but here's something that I would say that would change the scenario. You know, different ways to frame things, but you want to get so good at that language, and we'll do a show on that one of these days. The last one that I want to talk about is grounded stillness. Now, again, the full transparency I like to have on these is because we do this every single day, and it's hard to hide sometimes. You know, when we have a day when I am tired, it's hard to hide that when we're doing this every single day. If we did this like Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we'd be able to be on fire every single time because it's easy. But every single day, it's hard to do that. But today, I feel very, not off, but I guess off in my discipline, off in my groundedness, off in the way that I present. And, you know, maybe you can tell that, maybe you can't. However, I can tell. And I say that because I think it adds more emphasis to this message of certain points like grounded stillness. Right now, I feel fidgeting every couple of seconds because I didn't do any prayer this morning. I didn't do any prayer this morning. I didn't do any meditation this morning. I didn't sit down and do what I so often say to do, which is before you grab your phone, before you get to work, have some time with yourself. Have some time before you go into meetings. But on Fridays, we have a meeting at 6:30, and I woke up at 6 and then stayed in bed for another 10 minutes. So we went straight to work, which a lot is getting done, but I know it'll probably only last until 2 hours until this burrito settles down. I'm super tired. So in all essence is what I'm saying is these 5 points are so important to understand. And some days if you don't do it, it's okay. But this last one, grounded stillness, is the most important thing. Because I could, like I'm doing right now, get myself into a more grounded state, breathe a little bit, and feel my feet on the floor, and now I'm rooted. Okay, now I'm in a position on a live stream with people watching and a lot of people watching afterwards to calm my nervous system and put myself in a more grounded state. And I know I'm saying a bunch of things, but I'm literally doing the thing in the moment to show how you can do this. Is you say the things out loud, you pay attention to your words, you pay attention to your breath, you pay attention to your feet, and the anxiety kind of calms down fully. And this is number 5 of grounding stillness, of how we can get ourselves in a rooted state every single day, every single moment, every single hour, so that we can become more magnetic. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's good. I think that there is a balance of awareness. Type it in the chat. Awareness. And something that you do often is you are aware of everything. Oh, I eat that burrito, so I'm low energy. Like you notice everything. You notice in a room with people, like that person is feeling something.
I used to think in these moments that I was like depressed or something because I had a big burrito and I would feel like sad 3 hours later, and I would think that something's wrong with me. Now I know it's the burrito, and it just helps my life so much more. But continue.
So I think knowing your energy management, because something that I do, one thing that helped me stop eating desserts that I used to eat every night was I remember gaining the discipline of stopping doing that. Mm-hmm. And then one time I'd gone like 2 months without a dessert, and then I ate a big dessert, and I went home and I was like, why did I do that? Like, I feel heavy, I feel tired, I feel like it didn't feel good, right? And I was like, I felt like crap. I was like, that is not worth 850 calories or whatever was in it. Like, why did I even put myself through that? And so now every time I go to eat a oversized sugary dessert, I think, is it worth the filling after? And I think that awareness when it comes to your energy management is not making decisions based on your feelings, because disciplines must override feelings. Because some days you're going to get up and you're going to be excited to get the sales calls in. You're going to get excited to build the business. You're going to be excited to be in the relationship you're in. You're going to be excited to go to the event. And other days you're going to wake up and probably want to pull the blanket over your head and stay in bed until 3 p.m. And no matter what day it is, no matter what the feelings say, it's vital that you have the discipline to say, this is a decision I made, this is where I'm headed, and I'm going to be there. But on the other hand, to be able to say, I realize that this pattern happens when I do X. I'm not going to beat myself up for doing X. I just know I'm going to be a little extra tired today. And I think, again, as you can build the business, build yourself, build your friendship, your group, your circle, your team, being aware of those things gives you an incredible advantage. And now you can time things properly. It's like me. I don't like to stay up late almost any nights because I know I have an internal clock that usually wakes me up before 5 a.m. for something. And I know that that's going to probably wake me up regardless of what time I go to bed. And I know I got a sales meeting every morning at 6 a.m. And so knowing these things causes me to make disciplined decisions and then to plan ahead when, hey, if I'm traveling and I'm up all night one night, I know I'm going to be less energetic the following day. But that awareness and making plans accordingly that align with a long-term mission causes you on an off day to not feel like, crap, my whole year's screwed up. My whole business and life's off track because I didn't work out today.
I think now that we're done with those 5, I think just keeping on this topic for the last 5-10 minutes will be important.
Yeah.
Because, beautiful people in here watch every single day. And it's very easy to be like, okay, let's show up with the most energy that we have. But we never want to give the impression that that's how we are all the time. You know what I mean? Like, we're high energy and we're building 3 companies and we're going hard. But like, there's some days or moments, actually, every day has been productive for the past couple of years, because at least we have the mentality of what's the one thing we can do to move forward. And we end up doing 2, 3, 4, 5 things. But there's some moments like today, it's a travel day. And we'll get a couple things done, but you're probably a lot higher energy than I am. But like I'm right now, don't even want to look at the screen. But I say that for a very important reason, that those of you who are building something, what Andrew was saying about awareness, when you can understand that, you no longer beat yourself up. Because I am so not sorry that I had that burrito, because it made me so incredibly happy in the moment. And I would cherish those 20 minutes I had sitting and eating that burrito.
By the way, I just have to point out, the way Leo talks about food is incredible. like the way he describes the feeling of eating food. Like if you could be not hungry at all and you hear Leo describing the thing that he's eating and how incredible and scrumptious and whatever all beautiful words you use to describe the most descriptive forms of burritos, it's like, I don't know what you're eating, but I want to bite. Like I'm feeling hungry. I wasn't before.
I think the point there is that, you know, when you're very aware, maybe you slept in, but wow, did that sleep feel good in those 3 hours? You know, maybe you slept an extra 2-3 hours. If you're aware of that, then you know, hey, I'm gonna give that to me. I'm gonna give that to me. What is it, Friday? But I'm gonna make sure, hey, on Saturday, let's get a couple more things done, hey, and let's make sure the discipline is in alignment with the objective that you set for yourself. Let's get a little bit more done Saturday and finish another hour of deep work working on this project. So then you know, hey, that's the day not to eat a burrito in the morning. Or that's the day to get a little bit more sleep because I set an objective to get that done. And this has helped so much us like build 3 companies at once.
Yeah.
I saw something today of like, you know, if you're young and saying you want work-life balance, you're in the wrong circles. And I look at that and I'm like, there's 2 extremes. Like one is absolute hustle culture.
Yeah.
Screw all sleep, work. And one is just full comfort.
Yeah.
Like I want to be comfortable all the time. And I think there's a middle ground of doing the things that you love, enjoying your life, but just getting the things done, like executing on the things and then rewarding yourself for the execution.
Something I can struggle with is falling on that hustle side. I'll wake up early, I get in, I get meetings done. I'm always building cool stuff and doing fun stuff. And sometimes I can get a little too caught up. And anytime I have a conversation with you, you know, we see each other every day. We have conversations. Like it always brings me back to that moment of saying, okay, let me just take 15. Let me take 30. All right. That will be there tomorrow. I finished my 12 hours of Zooms yesterday. So let's allow ourselves a couple hours before we travel tonight. So I think that's such a powerful thing when you can, again, have that balance. Because if you just live in comfort zone, you go broke. If you just live in constant comfort zone and you let yourself sleep in every day and you react and you just allow things to just go, then you won't have the life you want. The life you want is not easy. Yet if all you do is grind and hustle, you're not going to enjoy the life that you've been called to.
Yeah.
And so I think it's such I don't like to use the word balance because I think it's grossly overused in today's age. But if you can just find that balance of saying, yes, I'm going to be disciplined. Yes, I'm going to hit the gym. Yes, I'm going to do the workout. Yes, I'm going to eat healthy. Yes, I'm going to do the meetings. I'm going to do what most people won't. And also, I'm going to get the massage Saturday. And also, I'm going to get the extra hour of rest to make sure that I'm feeling well.
You know, one of our mentors told us that success for a lot of people, a lot of incredibly successful people, and some regular people, is a peaceful night of rest. Like being able to put your head on your pillow and be at peace is success for a lot of people.
It's true.
Some people who are incredibly rich don't do that. They go to sleep and they're stressed about 90 things. They're imprisoned by their business, imprisoned by their mind, imprisoned by tax, imprisoned by all these different things. People who are poor go to bed at night worried about how they're going to pay the bills, worried about what they're going to do next, worried about how their family is going to do. And I see in that context now that it's so important to get out of a mental prison.
Yeah.
And to not get down on yourself for things, not allow one bad day to ruin your month, not allow someone's insult to make you veer off and, you know, cut in front of somebody, like not let the world cause you to do things.
Yeah.
And instead, you are in alignment with your purpose, your alignment with your values, you're in alignment with God, and you move that way.
Yeah.
Because everything is a decision you make. I decide to get up this morning and work. I decide to speak about this on a live show. I decide to be happy today. I decide to be joyful. I decide to work on this business. And I think that's such a philosophy that I want to deeper understand so we can talk about it here. But
I think that it is a discipline. Anything you do is a discipline. And for me, this morning has been jam-packed with many meetings. This afternoon is jam-packed with many more meetings and some double bookings. And that used to would stress me and cause me I'm a believer in what you just said, which is if you can go to bed at night at peace and fall asleep, you're blessed. And that is more important than the level of wealth in the bank. Level of wealth in the bank is important because it gives you that freedom. But I believe that peace is a good perspective to have. And I always remember growing up when people would ask my dad how things were going. We didn't have a lot of money. And some months, I don't know how he didn't stress about how to pay the bills with 6 kids and all the things that he had running on his plate. People would say, "How you doing, Robert?" He'd say, "I'm blessed and I'm rich. I got 6 kids. Every one of them's healthy, and I wouldn't take $1 million for any of them."
Hallelujah.
And that perspective, I probably heard that 10,000 times growing up at least. And it was just that's dad saying dad things. It was so repetitive and common, except now I've grown to appreciate that because that was, whatever you want to call it, training, hypnotizing, gifting, a perspective of being blessed in spite of the challenge, a perspective of abundance and knowing. And I've seen him countless times put 20s or even 100 in the offering plate at a meeting when I knew that we didn't have it to give. But he was always a giver first and still is. And I think that's such a good perspective, again, as you're coming into this and you're looking at your life and you're looking at what you're building and the days that go great and you're feeling high energy and you're feeling excited and the days that go a little less than great and you're not feeling as well. Being able to understand that perspective is really going to give you, I believe, a stabilizer at life.
I think if you could walk away with anything from today's show, it is awareness. It is this idea where even today on this show, I probably went through four different places of emotion, and you only really see one because I show one. But I'll go through, for example, beginning, and I say this. Let me just say this for what's currently going through my mind is that accountability for us, this live show, we're going to continue getting better at and continue showing up with energy, continue giving you guys so much value and then marketing it out more. And I think that over the past 10 days, because we're working on so many projects, that when we come on here, it's like, oh crap, we got the live show to do. And I want to make sure it's not like that. I want to make sure that these shows are engaging with you guys. We see you guys' comments, and that we, go from having 30 people to 60 to 100 to 1,000 to 500, 1,000. We lose 500 people, and then we get 10,000 people. And I want to make sure that it's always valuable. But what I was saying is, I went through massive imposter syndrome the moment we started teaching. And I saw that in myself of like, oh, I see imposter syndrome happening. That's why I'm pausing and slipping up on my words. And then after, I start feeling this, not anger, but like, Leo, you gotta be better. You gotta move more. So then I pick myself up and we're going. And then I'm like, Leo, just be real. Okay. And I start chilling. And then when we went to grounded stillness, it's like, okay, talk it out, speak it out. Get grounded, be rooted, and then I'm in a whole different energy again. So I say this for you guys, for myself and for Andrew here, is that that's probably what happens with all of us. Yeah. Is that we go through so many emotions and so many thoughts every day. but you don't have to act on all of them.
I suppress mine.
You just suppress your emotions and put it all away until one day it all flows up. But yeah, wow. So I'm learning this in the moment. We have no more structure for the show, but I feel like because we talk about our emotion every day and as it comes up, like we have so much control over the emotion.
Yeah.
And I think it's wild.
Yeah.
As I'm speaking it out loud of like,
I would have used to never admitted that I suppressed mine.
you're right. Okay. I don't know where that's going to go, but what I'm doing right now is practicing speaking out literally what is going through my mind in public while being recorded and on a live show. And I think I'm using it as my training for understanding my thoughts.
The greatest gift you can give to the world around you is sharing what you most need. If any time that you're going through things, being able to share out what you most need, being able to live in abundance, being able to practice abundance actively when you feel lack is happening, being able to actively be vulnerable when you feel like pulling back and dealing with it alone, being able to surround yourself by the right people, it's a constant opportunity for growth. And so I just want to shout out all of you guys. Bill, good to see you. Roberta, Marlon, Les, Elizabeth. I just thank you guys. Christine, Lori, anybody else that I missed? Thank you guys for being here. Thanks for being with us in the early stages of this show as we continue to improve and get better. And I am beyond excited for what the next 100 days are going to hold as we continue to grow this. And by the way, which day? Have we picked out a day next week that we're going to have Dad on? The first guest ever on this show?
That's a good question.
Whenever it is, one day next week, we're going to have the first ever guest. My dad is going to come on and be dropping some truth bombs and some fun stuff for you. And we're going to pre-record it so we can edit out anything. I'm joking. It's going to be live just like these days, so look out. We're going to have a fun time together, and we'll announce what day it is.
Well, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. And yes, thank you guys so much for being here early. This is our training grounds as we prepare to grow this brand substantially. And we're so excited to be doing it, with you guys and being able to listen to your guys' feedback and still, when it's 30 people, give the energy that we would give to 1 million people. And I'm just excited to see where it's going to go.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good week ahead, a good weekend ahead. Trust you guys are putting your weekend practices to work, whatever that may be. Resting on the weekend, getting any work catch-up done. We're going to be traveling today and tomorrow, and it's going to be a fun time. We're going to see many of you in Kentucky.
Absolutely. All righty. See you guys later. We'll be back Monday, same time, same place. It'll be Andrew's birthday on May 12th. Type it in your calendars and give Mr. Schlag a happy birthday.
See you Monday. Bye for now.
Peace. Bye-bye.